manual dexterity.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the Battle Pirates Crib. We're going to talk about the raid and some of the prizes, I think. It's about that time. So let's introduce everybody. And the link is in the right hand side in case anybody'd like to join. We still have space. So, the Saint,
G'day, everyone.
Magic Mike.
Righty ho, folks. You're all looking swell.
Okay. I'll believe you on that. And Kirby.
Happy 1 year of the Rona.
Yeah. And KB.
G'day.
So let's get moving.
I should get my keyboard. Oh. We'll catch up. All right. Okay. Sorry.
All right. No bug fixes, despite the fact that they removed turret defense from the Badger and made
Unannounced hot fixes that will show up in next week's notes.
Yeah. And you can hit the 75 now with the Reclaimer, so tier 10 stuff. So let's move on. Right now we're on raid with Hold the Line, which is recommended for everybody that doesn't have enough tokens to get all their defense turrets up to level 12, which will be helpful. Even the ones that are not heavy turrets, not that don't have the HT because of the availability of the power transformer. So you might want to just take what you thought were previously useless turrets and go ahead and upgrade those to 12, because that's the only way you can add power to your base. Next week we have the FM bounty, and I still think there's going to be a special event on Thursday, and I think what is it called, Siege Reclaimer or whatever, that TLC is still
Siege
not on.
Breaker?
Siege Breaker.
Potentially April 7th.
Yeah, but last time we were misinformed, so one more click. All right. There's Derpy's BP next week.
I'm calling a BP this week so they can't sue me for copyright infringement. Just want that on the record.
Okay. Alrighty. I don't think that's been trademarked.
Well, I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Okay. Coming soon, they definitely have trademarked.
Okay. Good to know.
But BP next week, I don't think that's. I don't think they have any legal rights to that at this point. Maybe they should file. I don't know. Maybe you could add that to your shop.
Kixeye has coming soon trademarked. Okay.
You could start selling shirts and coffee mugs with coming soon TM.
Masks as well.
Yeah, masks. So next week we have VXP weekend. As Derpy mentions, is a good time to earn and use Defender VXP tokens, because we got the Badger, and our ships are pretty much close to being able to actually hit these targets efficiently. So in case you are low on Defender VXP tokens, it's a good time to hit them, because there's only like every other month it's a good time to hit them. Most of the time. This time, last VXP weekend was not that awful to hit them with Gladius, but normally you're at a huge disadvantage trying to kill those targets because you have barely functioning ships, no engines. Some people just have thud 1s and 2. You just go in there and basically die. But at this point, if you're able to compete in the raid, this is a good time to stock up on the Defender VXP tokens and rank up your Badgers. Yeah. Titan Rising, Mega, Shadowrun Flame, Hellswarm Tech, and Does it give it upgrade tokens or kits or anything? Do you know?
Upgrade tokens, upgrade kits, build tokens, all the works.
Okay. And we expect the 182 to be replaced with the 187.
I don't know. I was going for the 180, 184.
Yeah, because they skipped one last time, but how many are they going to skip at a time? You never know. Could be 183, 184, something.
181.
No, they're not. They already had the 181.
Did they?
I think they did. And we expect to see limited tier 10 assault armors, as we've always seen, as far as stocking up for the next raid cycle. So, anything else on the calendar?
Possibly see the rotation of beginner fleets, so that we have the Photon ECM and the Forsaken mission for free now. Although I'm not totally sure. They have not been consistent enough with that to predict those behaviors.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be a 4-week Forsaken mission cycle. You have to save the last 2 for your whatever you call it, for the next tier 10 assault hull. So you can use the first 2 on, I don't know what, Conqueror stuff.
Or on your Badger, if you claim 2 Badgers.
Yep.
Get them all built out. So, let's take a step back. All right. We see that we have 5 Wednesdays in March. So, yeah, that's highly expected that we're going to have an extra week of build tokens from the FM, an extra week of build/upgrade time. So, to keep that in mind, and I guess let's move forward 2 clicks. All right. I brought this up on the Wednesday show. As far as I know, Mike and KB, Saint, have you purchased the X1 for the Everest?
No, I didn't
Okay.
make that purchase.
Okay. I was, and anybody else out there, the link's there if you want to comment and chat.
And
the way
at the moment, I've got no desire to start upgrading any of mine to X1.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. No, I understand. Until they turn the next pillage into, or the pillage after next, they turn into a constant ice shield.
The entire map is just completely covered with don't give them any damn ideas.
Yeah. It's because it's good for them, because I think they don't do stuff if they realize a certain percentage of the player base doesn't own something. But so it could work either way. If it's just 10%, 15% of the game players have X1, they might do some shit like that.
Would that be Battle Pirates Winter is Coming?
Yes. I've got all X1 hulls, not worth it yet. I mean, that's what I'm wondering about the 187, the 184, whatever we're going to call it. If we're going to see more ice fields, even though it seems like we already have a shit ton of ice fields at this point.
Yeah. With the pillage target as well, we haven't seen that change for probably 4 or 5 months. So it'd be a surprise if they did suddenly decide to change it now, and it'd be pretty underhanded, really.
That's true.
Has it been that long?
It's been a while, 3, 4, 5 months.
Okay.
I can track down the exact date if you give me a minute to search the number on my channel. What target is it? Is it the 135?
138, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the 138.
Yeah.
It's like that came out in October.
Okay, so we're at 5 months. So you're right. Okay, it didn't seem that long to me, but time flies at times.
So it'd be the 6th appearance if it came out again.
Yeah. So But the question is, for those people that own it, Cat owns it. For people that bought the time limited offer, well, I guess I need to take a step back. Basically, this immunity to the ice fields creates sort of a barrier for people that don't buy the time limited offer, because you're going to have ships shooting off the whole time during the upgrade cycle, which, let's say you do your flag first, which is 8+ days, and then you're going to do 4 other ships that are 5+ days. Have we ever gotten any tokens? I think we got tokens for them at one point, but it's not like it's going to be an easy thing. But I don't really see a difference between adding all of that onto the flag, create an aura, or doing it incrementally through 20% per ship. I'm just curious, for people that did make the time limited offer purchase, if you would feel cheated in any way if they did one of those two things.
Well, I think you would feel more cheated if they put an aura on one ship, because then all I would have to do is upgrade one ship and I've got the whole aura. Whereas if you did
then it's functional.
Or is there a certain percentage of players who upgraded to X1 with the $25 deal who would not have done that if they could upgrade one ship at a time? I would think it'd be almost no one.
Yeah.
But,
well, and also saying you don't get any of the other stuff. You don't get the additional, you don't get the additional survival.
Yeah.
So it's just like a cock block or whatever. It's just a blocking people from advancing past U3. The way it currently is structured.
Yeah.
I mean,
as I say, at the moment, I've got no desire to start any of my X1 upgrades on the Everest because of the way it's like the 12,000 survival is not game changing anyway. It's not making a big difference.
I would say, to be perfectly honest, the upgrade didn't really make any great bloody difference.
You just said what I was going to say.
All the Frostfield immunity does is maybe get you there a little bit quicker, but I don't think you're taking that much less damage out of it. So
not much.
But it might only make a minute or so difference in doing the targets currently, but who knows what they're going to do with the rest of it.
I honestly think it helped my frustration level a little bit more than anything else because of the drag into the ice fields rather than just, putting along.
It just means you can go a little bit more direct at some of the turrets.
But I didn't notice a big change in the damage taken. Honestly, maybe in the 135s and
Yeah, but that's sort of why I mentioned earlier that there is, maybe this was part of a larger plan to make the ice fields even more annoying.
I don't know.
So
there's a lot of them in there.
Yeah,
you would think for the minimal sort of increase in survival and stuff like that their targets to come would have to be harder in some way, shape, or form to try and make the X1 worth it. So who knows what they're going to do with them.
Yeah, but I also look at it. We're going to change out the 182 or 183 this month. That means we've still got a couple of months of the slightly lower targets anyway, which are pretty easy with U3 and U2 ships. And then by the time these get to get cycled out again, we're probably going to have a new garrison fleet. So
exactly,
I don't think I'm going to need to go to X1 unless something drastically changes in pillage or they completely change the targets, which I can't see happening. So,
or they give you a K2 upgrade.
Well, Lego, the upgrade tokens would. I don't think they would help. That's sort of
You'd
the
have
point.
to save up enough upgrade tokens to get all 5 ships up to X1 at the same time, which is
Yeah, like
possible.
40. You know, the limits at. I think the limits would be at 10. So
Yeah.
you're gonna get like 1 and maybe 2 ships. You know, so you're still fucked with the upgrade tokens unless they give us 40 or 50 at a time, or the ability to store up that many.
Won't happen.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's not going to happen. So that's why they need to change the mechanic here, as opposed to change the ability to achieve X1. So, all right.
I would be happy if they give everything an aura, but do it 20% at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you upgrade one ship, and that gives every ship in your fleet a 20% resistance to the ice field. So the next ship you get to X1, 40%. So after you've upgraded 5, then you sort of get the full load of the rest of the stuff as well.
Yeah, it seems like they do that unless wanting to screw over customers and make them buy a deal instead of go one at a time is their business strategy. I don't think it is, but it might be.
Yeah, the whole thing just doesn't feel right. That's why I keep on bringing it up. But I mean, I think either one makes sense. It just feels like a mistake. So one that they should remedy, especially for people that are spending time getting ships up to, most of their ships up to U3. Just give them a chance to go to X1, but don't pay a penalty for going to X1. I mean, or that they could do something if you're all U3, they'll, it'll be 49 coins to get them all to X1. Who knows what they're going to do? So,
well, then you'll get the people who have paid.
Yeah,
but cash upset as well. If you get to upgrade them all for 50 coins.
But that would happen, weeks later.
Yeah, but that'd normally happen well down the track, though, too, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So
maybe they don't give those sort of offers within, the first month of having the upgrades out.
No, I'm not saying doing it now. I'm just saying that's maybe what, if they don't change the mechanic, that's what they would eventually do, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. All right. Reclamation. Okay. We could have stayed there. No, we could have stayed on Reclamation.
Oh. Sorry.
Well, how many million points is everyone at?
Wow, that's crazy.
I like the target, especially the 162. I find it to be sort of fun.
Yeah, I think these are enjoyable targets if you spent the month building and upgrading reclaimers and preparing for it.
Yeah, I have.
It isn't if you're not, like you just said, prepared for it.
Yeah, well, if you didn't build the ships, upgrade the ships, I don't know what you expect.
I had all 5 built, and it was like terrible. And the offer, and then it was drivable. I don't know. Could be just my driving, but
so you were at
you're
U1 and
than me.
you upgraded to U3.
Yeah, I think so. You do better with 3 ships than I do with the 1 or with the 5.
And to be honest, in the 160, I have 5 ships. At this point, 1's missing an armor. I think otherwise they're good. 1 or 2 are missing an armor or 2. But the 160, if I remove 2 ships, I get the same time as I do with 5.
Yeah.
So it's not really per ship, which is weird. I'm still getting I haven't hit that many with 3 ships, but I was like, oh, okay, I'll take out my I'll leave my flag, my tank, and another ship, and I'm still getting the same time per target in the 160.
It's kind of weird.
Most 90% of the time, which is odd. But I'm the 160 I find to be there's not much of a driving challenge there. I don't know what's going on there. Sometimes I do really well,
These targets are not very forgiving.
Well, really a couple of things. You don't drive through the red rings and
Yeah.
don't get hit by the cannon ballista. And otherwise, they're pretty forgiving. Or okay, and also don't get shockwave.
That's it. Yeah.
Those 3 things. If you don't do those 3 things, they're fairly forgiving.
I agree with that. You got to pay attention a little bit.
It's kind of hard to tell where you did mess up, though.
I messed up. I put one wrong armor on, and I didn't even realize it. It's not that bad, but I mean, it's the last level. It's not gonna make a big deal. That's not the problem.
The other thing that bugs me is Conqueror and Defender only have 3 weapons.
Yeah, it feels like we're kind of just getting the same thing over and over again with one weapon choice per hole. The Badger's got 1 weapon that works on it. The Trencher had 1 weapon that worked on it. The Warhound, 1 weapon that worked on it. Exterminator, you guessed it, 1 weapon that worked on it. And there's all 3 slots. It's all seems like sort of the same general type of thing over and over. I mean, there's not a lot of difference between giving us a hole with 5 weapons and a hole with 2 and a hole with 3. But I don't know.
Maybe
It
it
helps to
deals
tune
with
in a little bit.
the length of time it takes to put on. Because probably if you had 6 weapons on it and you had 3, you probably are going to have the same refit time, right?
Yeah, if they had, I mean, they'd have to check those tier to tier, but and of course with deflections, it 3 weapons that do 1 million will be better than 6 that do a total of 1 million as well.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense as well as far as accounting for that. And as far as the 2X, the Gladius can do the 160 for 30 minutes or less. No, I've liked what they've done, at least with the 160, as far as you can do it with very few ships or the previous generation of ships. That's
I think we've got to give them credit for that, because we were pretty worried coming in that they could stuff it up with the dock going up and dock weight for some people. And to be fair, I think they've done a pretty good job in tuning the targets to give accessibility to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I want to agree with that, but I don't know how much it was intentional. I also don't know how well 3 ships at U0 or 3 ships at U2 would be working.
But then you wouldn't expect them to be working great if you haven't built more than 3 ships beyond U0. You've been doing something else, and you should be having a few problems.
Yeah. If you haven't built more than 3 ships beyond U0, if you just got that, you should either have more ships or more upgrades. So what have you been doing? But they haven't exactly been great about communicating that, have they? They didn't tell us 3 ships. I saw it someplace, and a few other people saw it someplace and said, hey, I PM'd the designer, and he said 3 ships. Well, how about you tell us that a month before in your strategy guide you release, and not just don't tell us anything.
Because last year they did clearly tell us.
Well, then again, they got to release the strategy guide a month before the bloody raid,
not 4 hours,
not
before?
a couple of days.
Right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm going to say I think they're overtuned.
You think they're too hard or too easy?
Yep, I think they're too hard.
Okay.
Really?
Yep, I do.
How much damage after you watch me hit the target? How much damage are you taking now?
I'm taking less than 20 minutes on the hardest one.
Okay.
And I'm used, and that's like not more than that usually. So let's say between 12 and 20 on the 162, I think. And on the
Okay.
160, I'm going to say I'm taking about 10 to 15 maybe. And I'm talking about not the best scores.
Okay, but you got instant repair in the dock.
I also spent $25 or $30 and all that time to have 5 complete ships. So 5 complete ships at, what is it, U3? And I'm still not getting any map repairs. Not that I expect them. It's just if I drive it perfect, I should get a map repair on the 160. I honestly think they're overtuned and not using a crew.
You said you got one that was 5 minutes and change. If you had a skill head done, that'd be instant. But I hear your frustrations, and
I think for $30 it shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah, what you're saying makes sense.
Because they're gonna up it a little bit next time. And
up it a lot.
Yeah, probably a lot. And if for the first raid, I think it's just a little too hard. Sorry. And I'm in the, as far as ships built, probably in the higher portion of those that have 5 complete built. Not that the build's 100% correct, but it's done. So the time has been invested plus some money. And I think it's difficult.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair point.
Don't know. I mean,
well, I'm not a great driver either. Okay, so I guess some of that's on me.
Yeah, because that was one of the things at least the 162 is sort of a driving target, because that's why I find it fun. It's not like you need to be like boom, boom, boom. I use waypoints for a lot of it, but it's sort of like, understanding what's actually happening there, as far as, one of the big things is the bonuses that are provided by the ships that, by the Allied turrets.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to jump off and use your extra combat speed and your extra survival by being close to them.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see what happens next month. I think my best time was 6:05, 6 minutes 5 seconds on a 160. I think.
And I don't see a reason to complain about that, though.
After all that investment, I do. Sorry. If I'd invested that in next month's raid for that kind of a result, okay. Because that's the final raid, that's the hardest it's going to get, or supposedly, and you wouldn't expect it to be repairing on the water.
Well, except for the thing with you, if you bought the U3 deal, it's a pathway to get to X1.
Let's see how that works. That's all I say. Yes, I understand the point.
Okay.
I don't know how much I don't know. We'll see. Well, you know how I am about raids anyway, so it's just a thing.
Yeah, I have no problem with hitting a target and getting instant dock repair. I do push for instant. That's one of my things, is I try to get instant dock repair or instant on the water. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've only got it
You've done it though. I saw you had one for 4 minutes. Yeah.
Well, 3 minutes on the 160, but it went 3 minutes and change. But that was just, it felt like luck. But that's...
Yeah, take off your grease monkey crew and try again.
No grease monkey. No, there's no grease monkey. I still think it's the RNG associated with the UAVs is what I think is going on. Because,
if one of those gets through, it completely changes your damage time.
Yeah. Because I drive it one way, I get like 3 minutes and 30 seconds on 160. I drive the next one 9 minutes.
Are you driving stacked or tanked?
Tank.
Oh, right. I'm just
Tank
driving.
with the same speed, or do you have a G5 VV plate on one of them?
I use no plate, but I use waypoints in order to maintain the distance. So
I'm kind of liking that auto tank thing with the plate.
yeah.
Thanks, DSM.
Yep.
I'm just driving mine stacked.
Are you getting instant on the water?
Yeah.
Really?
160 and the 513s. For some reason, I just not getting the 162s, but
The 513s are instant on map for you?
Yep.
Where are you entering on those?
I'm pretty much using the same as what you are, except I double back after killing the first lot of turrets and starting off the turret.
Do you have an inclination to run that through? Run through it for everybody?
Yeah, if I can work out how to get the bloody share screen working.
Okay. Yeah, because I think people would like to. What upgrade level are you? Are you all X1?
No, I've got 3 at X1.
Okay.
And 2 at X3. And also my
is one of them the flag or no?
Yeah, the flag's at X1 because I had some.
That might help out a little bit.
That doesn't.
Yeah.
I had 4 days worth of tokens left over, so I sort of got half of that done with tokens, and I had to coin the remainder of it.
Yeah, how'd you get flag X1 tokens?
Well, from when I bought the upgrade to U3.
Okay. No, it's all good. But I would like to see I have not tried the 513 yet, so I would like to see how that works as far as
It's not horrible.
No, it's not horrible.
It's nice to do that map repair. I'd like to see how he does that.
Yeah. Because that might be a game changer. So I'm not sure. I'm not the run target.
It took me a half hour first try I did it.
I did it
half hour to hit
it. Half hour repair. No, half hour repair.
That's why I keep on hitting the 160 and the 162.
I've gotten a few half-hour repairs on the 605, but if I pay attention and don't drive into torpedo like I just did, it's generally instant base repair. I just got 18 minutes with driving into a torpedo, so.
Okay.
I need to refit my armor and change to all explosive on my Ronins, actually.
Really?
So, Saint, do you have an evade special on one of your ships?
I do, yes. Yeah, I've put the evade special and the extra armor on just to get it out in front.
513, 23 minutes with 2 glads. So they've the glads appear to be really powerful, on these targets.
I think the extra range helps because you can take the buildings out without going in the red rings.
I mean, the only problem is that you can't put countermeasures on them to deal with the UAVs. So you need
Yep.
Are you seeing me?
I think so.
Yep.
I do.
You might want to go full screen, but yeah. There we go.
All right, so I haven't got a crew on at this stage, so it might be slightly more than instant repair, providing I drive.
10 minutes without the grease monkey.
No, I haven't used the grease monkey.
You use 6.
So I come in similar to what Derby was with his street. I'll just double back here. Take this one out. Come back there. Just let them fire off.
This turret always dies for me. I'd be interested to see if it lives for you.
It should stay alive because the X1 will give.
Oops. I didn't get that bugger.
Flag is the one that keeps the ships, the turrets alive.
Yeah, that's it. That's dead at full health.
Don't forget the disruptor, Derpy.
I started to get it about half the time now.
I watched your video just now, and
Okay, going around to the right side of those ones. Yeah, that seems like a pretty good route.
yeah. But I think the X1 flag is making a big difference to keep those turrets alive, to take the towers out in the middle there. Nicely done, though.
There you go.
And I've got a slightly different setup with my fleet too, which I don't know whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. I've got evade on my flag.
Yeah, it's probably not a bad idea, because if you've got them all at the same speed, it's the flag that seemed to be targeted before. So
Yeah. Well, I've noticed that all the damage seems to be mainly on the flag. So there we go, 3% taken, 2% taken with radio. 6 minutes 39.
And you got hit by a cannon.
And I got hit by the radio a couple of times when I wasn't paying attention. So, that would have been horribly close to on-map repair.
No, it works.
Well, do you want to do my raid and hit a few other dozen targets for me?
Yeah, well, I'm still way short of what I wanted to get out of it.
My problem is once I get the targets, and you do them a few dozen times, it gets kind of boring.
I'm
Tell
just
me about it.
The 160, because you can auto the 160 for about 25 minutes. So I just did that 10 times before I went to bed last night, and then just
that's my setup with the flag. So the evade's probably not as high as some of them, but it seems to be working all right as things stand at the moment. Next raid, who knows? But that seems to work for me. And as I say, I drive them stacked, so there's not the mucking around with the rest of it either.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it looks like this raid, if you prepared for it, and then it's doable. Varying levels of to how acceptable the damage is, but I mean, the targets are fairly quick.
Yeah, well, the 160 you're done in about a minute.
Not as bad as the pop-up targets from the Zealot or the Photon raid.
No, much better.
No, well, the real issue is the amount of points that you still got to accumulate to try and get sort of everything that you want.
Well, that's
Yeah,
the
and I
thing,
spent my first 25 million points on making my reclaimers better, so the next 50 million points would be easier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I've got 60 up my sleeve or something like that, but I'm still way short. You know, when you're looking at, what, 15 million for some of these bloody things.
Yeah, those
sure.
five Everest mortars get you 20 million right there.
20 million.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm sort of looking at, plus the
couple of
turrets.
badges.
What?
Well,
Oh,
I've got the badges
the
and
launcher
that
ones?
done, but yeah, the
The
launcher.
I've
turrets.
got. I just put my second one on my base. I think I own 2 of them. I wasn't planning on getting
I had
any
2
more.
already from Bounty, and then I'm going to buy a couple more, but I don't think I need all 5 of them this time. I'll probably end up getting them anyway, because I will probably get enough points over the 6 days, but I don't think I'll be putting them all in my base.
I've been liking the Armageddon scatterguns still a little bit more than the tier 9 launch or tier 10 launcher turrets. I haven't ran the numbers, I must confess, as to which one does more damage, but like I said, I haven't been using a whole lot of the radioactive ones.
Yeah, I think the launcher is one of those you need to get to a tipping point. You need enough of them in that they're getting the shockwave.
Mm-hmm.
If you've only got 1 or 2 in, it doesn't get the shockwave quick enough, I don't think.
That's true, and I just refitted and put even more accuracy on mine. So
yeah. We lost
just
Hefe.
talking about the raid build as well. I went down Derpy's Road with the auto loader, but obviously there's an issue with the weight. So to build out the full weapons, I used a previous launcher which fitted on. So I've got 8 launchers on my 4 ordinary reclaimers.
Okay.
And that's sort of not that far different in stats compared to the current version.
Yep.
You know, it's probably half the raw damage, but it still does the same shockwave damage.
I don't.
Shockwave is bullshit.
I don't think that shockwave stacks with it, and you're ever going to get it in the targets.
Yeah, well, that I'm not sure on, but anyway, it sort of fitted out the fleet completely, so at least that made me feel like I was doing a little bit of extra damage on stuff.
Yeah, I dropped an armor instead of dropping a weapon, but it's not like I really need more damage because these things are dying quite quickly. So
yeah, shockwave is really not doing anything.
Which
I can't tell it's doing anything.
Yeah, it's so hard to see with the throwers, and you can hardly see the launchers actually.
Well, if you do the math according to the blueprints, it's like 1.3% of the damage. It's nothing. I mean, I'm like, I talked to the Peter, one of the chief game designers, and I'm like, unless I'm doing the math wrong, you're only doing, and that's at U0. That's not at U X1. X1 it goes down because you're doing more radioactive damage.
You're getting more radioactive. Yep.
Yeah. So it's I mean, but there's not a better special. I mean, the special that adds, I can't remember the name of it right now, but the special that adds the extra shockwave damage, or the shockwave, the supercharge
atom absorption system.
Yeah, it's the best special either way, in regards to creating shockwaves, but they're not that great. So it's probably, if you're all X1, it's probably 1% of the total damage, which is
I don't know that it's 1%.
Well, I'm saying at X1. I'm saying it's
Okay.
1.3. I mean, the difference between 1.3 and 1%. That's not really that much of a damage difference. I mean, most of your damage from your launchers and your throwers and whatnot is just raw damage.
Mm-hmm.
So, has anybody come up with a good solution for the running target?
I mean, I'm just about to do one right now. If you want to see me run through that.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was getting about 20 minutes, I think, with
I'm using
that.
Steelheads because I have one. I'll just tell you how I do it. I start out, and things are moved around a little bit in this target compared to how it was last month, 2 months ago or whatnot. You have a Nighthawk up here, which was usually down in these two spots, so things have changed around a tiny bit, but it's not that bad. I'll just wait. I'll just trigger this Nighthawk, wait till it comes surfaced, and then sneak in here. As soon as it goes underwater, I'll get close to it so it doesn't hit me with any sort of weapons and kill it. Meanwhile, a lot of holes are triggered off onto the side. I'll try and wait till they're about to come towards me, and just before I get hit with this explosive guys, I start moving. So I hopefully, get a little bit, outrun a little bit of that splash damage, and try and use the arcs for the left and right sides. And then because there's almost nothing down here, I'll just go kill these two hunters. And if you do this 100% right, which is not that hard to do, you shouldn't take... Oh, I'm going to say that, then I'm going to mess up. You shouldn't take any concussive damage. Just try and keep these guys in your countermeasure rings. It's pretty easy at X1 when you have these. They spoiled me from having to drive very precisely. But even if you mess up, you've got your cormorants, and those should do a fairly good job. Really have to make sure you just don't get hit by torpedo. So, I'm going to stay moving off to the side. This one's surfaced, so I'll really just stay at max range here. And keep these guys in the sides. Trigger the other group, but they're going to be a minute. Torpedo from the top, so just run perpendicular to that. And if it's fairly consistent, even with one or two small mistakes, the instant base repair, I've not gotten 5 minutes. I've gotten 25 minutes plenty of times. I might honestly stack up about everything else in the set and run through 10 of these just really lazy, or I might just do a whole bunch instant. I haven't decided. I mean, the problem is when all these targets can be done 75% of the time instant base repair, you really just don't know what to prioritize, autoing and not.
Yeah, because one of the things I'm looking at is the clock on the, how long it takes to hit the target.
Yeah, it takes a lot longer than any of the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the set bonus is pretty nice, and it's a good change. And if I mess up with my reclaimers, and those each have 5 minutes of real-time repair on them, I can do those while hitting this target.
Yeah, well, the other side is it breaks up the repetitiveness.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's basically the reason I would see to hit these targets. Of
fun in this game? No.
Yeah.
Chat wants X1 Everest in this target because the ice fields.
Yeah, I assume so.
Yeah, I tend to drive on those a bit more than I should. Like, I'll cross it right now because there's no torpedoes that are going to be coming at me.
Yeah, it's only really when the torpedoes are coming that it's a major issue. But
and even most of the time with the torpedoes, you can kind of sneak around it.
Yeah.
Well, and then you have to go catch the oil rigs. I was intentional and grab that top one and the bottom one over here. That's the most annoying. That's an annoying part about the target.
That feels like a mistake, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, but no one listens to changes I want. 0% concussive taken or resisted. All explosive damage at 2%.
Mm-hmm.
And 15 minutes damage, which may be the best one I've had so far. Like I said, I need to refit this armor to all explosive, or not. have the tokens, why not? That's been my approach. I mean, no blitz times 10 buttons, otherwise I'd do it. So, and you get 500k for the set bonus. I think only 200k for actually completing the target. 250k for completing the target. I have 8 of these. I need to do at least 8, up to 17 more of these. So, yeah. And
But
I've
as far
actually
as the time or the stress of hitting them, is it better than just hitting the 160 and 162?
I've been doing it. It breaks up the monotony, like you kind of said.
Okay.
So,
All
I've
right.
just
complete
been
to use when my first one's repairing.
I've just been hitting whatever comes up near my base. So if it's a 160, I'll hit that. If it's a 162, I'll hit that. Or if it's a 513, I'll hit that. So I'll just try and clear out whatever's close by.
Also, Frank, to answer your question about the radioactive launcher turret, yes, generic accuracy specials such as, say, priority targeting will stack with atomic focus and or radioactive isotopes and or radium reserves.
It didn't always do that, but they've told us it does now.
I've got one on my turret right now, so
Which is good for our next slide. Mike? All right. These are the things that I consider to be on my list. There's one more as far as there's like a defender token, 2 defender tokens, and 2 structure build.
There's only one structure build token. I think at one point a year ago they messed it up and shifted it down to 1.
Yeah.
And haven't fixed it since. Even I don't know, but there's only one of those.
Well, there's 2 defender tokens, right?
I believe so.
Okay. So, taking a look at this, slide from Wednesday as far as the Badger.
As far as the Badger and its tech.
All right. Are you downloading too much porn, Mike? Okay. No,
Sorry, I didn't hear you say go to.
I didn't know you wanted him to click, so.
Yeah. Back up. Back up.
You want to go? Which slide should I be on? One back?
Okay. Okay.
Confusing.
The Badger, which is probably the big prize. It's okay. The Badger, which is considered probably the big prize associated with this. This is a defender. First getting released in a PvE environment, which I like. Derpy doesn't like.
Boo.
What does everybody else think about? Oh, I already said you didn't like it.
I was making sure
think
people
about
knew.
Yeah, I already said it.
I like it.
What does everybody else think about?
Yeah, I like it being.
Yeah, because how do you get back? Yeah, how do you get back into the bounty, the bounty rhythm if you don't have a way to defend your base?
You say, "Aw, shucks."
I'm agreeing with you.
You say,
Yeah,
"Aw,
it just
shucks,"
doesn't
and
make
you
sense.
go. You have to get the conqueror to get the points in bounty.
You just put out the welcome mat and say, "Come and take my bounty points."
Yeah. Half of yours is yours.
Yeah. So,
I mean, you don't have to have a defender to do bounty.
You have to be able to defend your base to a certain extent. So,
yeah.
I mean, whatever. So we have the Badger. We have the PT Transformer. the power transformer, um, the Bastion Seawall 2. Um, I don't know. I guess I should talk about them relative to how important I think they are. The PT transformer, for people that are maxed on their power and their base, this makes a huge difference, especially if you're, it needs to go on to a level 12 defensive turret. And again, there are tokens in the what's the name of the
Hold the line
Hold the
TLC.
line, yeah.
hold the line TLC in order to get tokens that things that do not have the things that allow you to carry a heavy transformer in order to carry that, because I've put 2 on and I'm like, wow, look at all this shit going on here. I mean, as far as like, I have the Bastion Seawall, I don't think is really great for everybody, because in order to put this on, you need to get your portals up to the next level, which is 18 days. So this is not. I put this on the lower priority, the Bastion Seawall 2, because you need to spend 18 days in order to even put it on.
I'd agree. Don't get that unless you have a level 5 portal.
Yeah, which takes 18 days to get,
which means I'll do that in 6 months after my lab upgrades are done.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think if you've got the points, it's worth buying it, but I wouldn't be looking to put it on.
Yep.
Yeah, all I'm saying is I put this as a lower priority.
Yes. Yeah. Agree.
Yeah. But as far as the top priority, I would put the Badger, the Zip Drive Y, and the Grinder Gatling gun. There's some interesting, I don't know about the Avalanche Mortar or the Tactical Onslaught engine.
Those are both, Tactical Onslaught engine's useful if you are a PvP player and already are running short on these. Avalanche Mortar, too expensive.
Yeah. But it's the Tactical Onslaught is the first time it's been offered outside of Bounty as well, I think. So
I've been asking for it in Pillage the last 2 months because I had to take mine off my Warhounds.
It's nice to have it there, and as you say, if you do Bounty, it's very useful.
Okay. Let's see. If you do not have the Saw Factory done, do this new launcher's turrets? Okay.
Yeah, they're not dependent on the Saw Factory. They're dependent on you having a level 12. Well, you can put them on a level 11 turret, but they really work best on level 12 turret. So you need Outpost 13, level 12 turret. Saw Factory, you can put these on before you have it.
Okay, well,
plus they go on the heavy too, don't they?
Yeah.
Yep.
So you need the heavy to.
You need the heavy, and I think without the level 12, you can't put any specials on it, or you can only put 1 special on.
Yeah, 1 or 2 pretty bad specials, but yeah. And thanks, Frank. You taught me the Smart Warheads was better, and I actually don't have that retrofitted, so.
Okay. The new launcher is interesting. You got 3 million damage divided by a salvo of 4, but you have a shockwave damage of 1 million, but a max stack of 15. So, is anybody ready to go to their base because this is the way I look at this, because there's specials you can put on that create a shockwave of 3 times. It already has an accuracy of 200. And so therefore, the specials you put on, you would expect a shockwave every time. Are you okay? All right. run you, Derpy.
Works better if I mute myself. I'll go ahead and zoom in as well, so you can actually see what's going on. Might be a bit too far, but it depends on the specials you put on here. I went with here's the supercharged ×3. Is this the one you're talking about?
Yes, yeah, it's a good special for this one.
Increases your shockwave damage by a bit. These other two options, you have to pick between, say, radioactive isotopes, which gives you more damage, less accuracy, or atomic focus, more accuracy, less damage. You have to pick which one you want. And then your other special could be something like heavy ballistic shells for just straight projectile speed and no other benefits. Accuracy doesn't affect that. Or smart warheads for accuracy, priority targeting for accuracy. It's the same thing.
What about a reload special?
Yeah, if you want to use the frontline ZU, whatever, that gives radioactive reload. I don't remember exactly where that is off the top of my head.
Right, I think. Next one.
Yeah, the last special I was going to check. Yeah, this guy. You could use that, 20% reload. The setup I have right here has, what's the base accuracy on this thing? 200?
200, yeah. That's why I'm wondering.
And if I multiply that by the accuracy buffs I have right on here, that's going to hit every time, even against against a 75% evade fleet, this will hit 90% of the time with this accuracy I have on here.
Yeah.
If I went with the atomic focus, it would hit even more. It would hit 100% of the time on a 90% evade fleet. So.
Yeah, because that's the big question I have as far as between atomic focus and.
Yeah. Because I'm doing 4.5 million damage, but a shockwave damage of, it's split up over a salvo of 4.
Well, it's 1 million plus 20%, so 1,200,000.
Yeah. I don't know. My gut feeling says that raw damage might actually be better, but. Do
you want to explain that or no?
It's a gut feeling. Just based off the numbers, and 3 million divided by, or 4.5 million divided by salvo of 4 is each raw hit is doing 0.875 million damage. You subtract off 300k deflections, and that would be 575k damage per hit. The shockwave, which happens less frequently, about 1/4 the time, 1/5.
Wait. So step back. As far as, okay, do you have the supercharge? Okay, it has a max launcher stack of 15. It has a salvo of 4. Go through your specials again, because one of them has a supercharger 3, right?
Yeah, which is also right here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And if you hit every time, it's still going to take you 5 shots to shockwave. And each shockwave.
No. Explain how that happens. Because if you have
max launcher stacks is 15.
You have a salvo of 4.
Divide by supercharge.
You have 4 times 3. You got 12.
Yeah.
So it's like 5 shots.
It's going to take 5 shots, 5 individual projectiles that hit.
Okay, but basically 2 salvos, you're 100% on, between.
Yeah, but by 2 salvos is how much shockwave damage after you take off deflections. Roughly speaking, that's going to be about, one shockwave. It's easy. It's a lot easier if it's more fair for whatever. Each shockwave 1.2 million divided by, or you subtract out the 300k deflections we're using. That's 900k shockwave. Would you rather buff 900k shockwave that happens once, or the 575k raw damage that happens 5 times?
depends on the deflection level of the incoming ship, right?
Well, yeah, it does. I just use a fairly reasonable number. You want me to check what my exterminator deflection is? I bet you it's about 300k.
Yeah. My exterminator
200k, and if I put on the armor, it would be 300k.
Yeah, mine's 325.
Yeah.
Radioactive plate on.
So if you want me to actually write out the numbers and stuff, it might be better.
No. I'm just throwing it out there just for conversation.
I said my gut feeling was that the raw damage is more important, but I actually don't know if this thing shockwaves on every individual hit or not. Because the max shockwave stats of 15 would lead me to think that it behaves like the turrets in the raid and doesn't decay and reset every time, but I don't know.
More my question relates to how many do you need to have in your base? I mean, yeah.
But I think if you went
we're talking about numbers with having one of them, but it seems like you need to have at least two to maximize the damage. At least two. I'm sorry, go ahead, Saint.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. I think you need at least two, because then every set of salvos, you should be doing 24 shots. So even if a couple miss, you're getting your shockwave every time. In theory. You got your 4 salvos from 2, which is 8 times the 3 times supercharge gets you your 24.
Yeah.
Which should get you it should get a shockwave every set of salvos, which is effectively roughly every
although
second.
I don't know if like I was saying, the shockwave might happen every time it hits, once it's already a max. I don't know.
So you don't need a new 15 every time.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I thought it was a new 15 every time, but it might not be. I was just gonna pop up a replay real quick, unless we have something better to go through. This only has one of them in here, but I don't know why I'm getting 2 frames per second. I only have one in this case. If we have something else we want to switch to, that's fine. But
yeah, it's all good. This is
not seeing a fire. There we go. I saw something shoot. Shockwave.
Mm-hmm.
And frames per second are too low. I mean, I can't.
Bye-bye. So
couldn't really tell from that, could you?
No, there's too much stuff going on.
Yeah. So as far as everything goes, as far as range goes, this is comparable to the Farsight cannon, and so I assume everybody thinks that you should get the new launcher turret to replace that, because that's the only one that has that same.
I don't know why they're still using the Farsight. We're using before,
the reason I'm bringing it up as a reference point is because they have the same. Unless you want to redesign your base, this is the one that has the same range, so you would put it in the same spot as the Farsight.
Well, I would rather compare it to the ones that people were actually using before this.
Which is what?
Probably the Mongoose and the Armageddon were the 2 longer range ones.
Or were they 120 to 400s? I mean, I'm
no,
just saying,
but people weren't using the Farsight, so.
Okay. I'm just saying, as far as like,
if I'm looking at my base today, for my general long range turrets, I have to decide between a few options, and I'm not picking the Farsight. I'd rather look at the new launcher in the Armageddon or the new launcher in the Mongoose.
Okay. All good. So
The power consumed is probably the other issue that you'd have to look at, particularly if you don't have the transformers.
But that's I think you have to have the PT for transformers if you're looking at
No, I mean the ones that give you the 40k extra.
Yeah, that's what I mean though. I think you need at least a couple of those in until you can start putting a couple of these new turrets in.
So, do you want to click back one, Mike? All right. Is there anything else in here besides the launcher turret? Well, should we talk about the BT transformer again? Or that's already, Bastion Seawall, just because of the amount of time it's going to take for you to even think about equipping this, because you cannot put this on normal portals. You have to have the upgraded portals. Before we move on, is there anything else, that we should be talking about?
Obviously, there's a huge amount of points needed to get everything there. So I think, as you say, prioritize a little bit. You don't necessarily need 5 launches. You don't need to get 3 seawalls now. So just be smart about how you spend your points.
So you would say what? As far as the launcher turrets, 2, 3?
I would have thought 3 should be fairly comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. The PT transformer.
I think
that'd be more relative to how maxed your base power is, I would reckon.
Yeah, I was more also thinking, like, in the future, when's the next time they're going to release this?
Well, they're definitely in Bounty, because I know I got some in Bounty, but because your launches you're more or less going to swap out for something that's already there, so they may not hurt you too much, as in base power, although they're up on the comparison you had with the Farsight. They were an extra 25,000 base power per unit, so you probably need the transformers somewhere along the way.
Okay. And then the Reclaimer upgrade kits. I mean, you'll see every time we do the calendar that I complain as far as, like, where is this TLC? I don't know what's going to happen with the Reclaimer, because,
no, well, they're a bit inconsistent with when they put the bloody things out, aren't they?
Well, I think to get to X1, you need all of them anyway, don't you? You only get 5 from the TLC.
5 kits?
No, 5. Sorry, kits you're talking about. I was talking about tokens. Sorry.
No, the kits. As far as, like, if people want to spend money on the kits, yeah. As far as the tokens, you only get 5, but and then you get 8 of the build tokens. But as far as the kits, I'm not sure it's a good place to spend your points. But at this point in time, we don't have confirmation as far as when that's going to happen. Is what I'm saying.
You might need some industrial reclaimer kits though, because we only got 130 before, which only gets you to AU3. So you need those. You need 2 of those, I think, to be able to get you to X1 on your industrial reclaimer.
Okay. All right, and the avalanche mortar. Let me see. How many do you get?
If you have 20 million extra, get it. If you don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm just putting on the low priority.
Well, they're a bit like the the special on the the limited on the Praetorian, isn't it? You know, that bloody rocket was way overpriced.
The Golden Eagle.
Yeah, and this is the same. You know, they're good to have, but
It's
whether or
much
not they're a
cheaper.
must-have is
It's
a different
much cheaper
matter.
to get them in pillage.
Okay. Alrighty. I guess 2 more clicks. I'm not sure what's next. 1 more click. We don't need. I think we've already gone through this. So is
Yeah, we don't need to go through that.
Yeah. So is there anything else anybody thinks we should talk about as far as the raid, what to claim, anything else as far as like what should players be doing at this point?
Grinding.
Yes. Okay.
I did see an interesting post on the forum. Someone was complaining about people hitting bases during the raid and suggesting that the half price or the half repair should be turned off for Conqueror fleet. With the argument being that, the PvE don't get any half repairs during bounty, so...
Was this your wife?
Hey, no.
No, it wasn't your wife. Okay. Okay, well, just checking. All good. I'm not...
No, I don't know who it was, but I saw it and I'd imagine that that'd have some comments either way. You know, there'd be some people for it and some people against it.
When people come out and hit my base and flood my dock, which actually happened during this raid, I said, okay, see you in 2.5 hours. Time to take a break. I don't double the Conqueror repair time just because there's a PvE event going on.
No.
Okay.
Well, he did get a little bit of support on the forums, but then, you know, you take that with a grain of salt too.
And by the way, I just tested that. I went and hit someone's base with one ship, and the shockwave resets. It doesn't keep going. I don't know why I thought it kept going.
Fair enough. So that means then you probably, if you are going to change out and go towards the turret, you probably want 3 of them then. So you get 2 sets of shockwaves.
Don't you get a bonus for having 4? Or is
they used to have that happen, but
yeah, that was on the level 7 and 8s, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, you never know with kicks because they drop stuff off bloody stat blocks and shit like that without telling you, don't they?
Yeah. It's certainly not mentioned in the stat block anymore, but
I would be very surprised if that. Well, stranger things have happened. I don't think that's in the game at this point.
What is interesting with the PT transformers is that your other older turrets, which were pretty useless anyway, are becoming even more and more useless because you can't put anything else on the PT transformers. So you basically sit those out the front and let them get killed.
Yeah, the
old bubble pad
designer does not like regular turrets.
No.
Well, that's the thing, that all the turrets that weren't heavies were basically not doing much in any case, are they?
No, that's true.
They're just there to make it look like you're trying to stop someone.
Yeah, then just a couple of the turrets just to try and slow them down a bit. But I don't know how effective some of those older turrets are actually doing the slowdown effects that they're meant to.
Well, not with the way the fleets are now, with the specials that are on them and stuff like that as well.
Yep.
Like how many times do you see the exterminators slow down.
True. Jeff gone off for another beer, has he?
Don't know.
So I was just doing a quick calculation. This is over 100 million points to get everything on here. So it's,
Yeah, I'm at 49 million right now, and I haven't gotten any of the Onslaught engines or any of the Everest mortars, and I still want another 5 days of Reclaimer build tokens and the Bastion Seawall 2s just so I have them, and of course the flagship upgrade kits. So
yeah, well, I'm at 65 million, and I haven't got the launches and the mortars, and I'm still short a couple of the tokens.
well, we're only 2 days in, but
I was just going to say, keep in mind,
bored.
it's only a couple days in.
Oh yeah, but geez, you can only take.
You
so
can only
much
take so much of this crap.
Yeah, the fact is that I've been grinding away to get to 65 million, and it's taken me this long to get there. So I don't really want to have to do this for another two bloody days. But
I'm hearing
that's
you.
sort
if
of
you
where.
auto,
Well, it says 4 more days, right?
Yeah, but what I'm sort of getting at is that that's full days. It's not just spending an hour here and there on it.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it's like when you're not got something important to do, you're on here.
exactly.
Yeah,
and even when you do, you're multitasking and you're on here out autoing targets.
that's true too.
Cat's asking, do the anti-rocketeers work? I'm assuming this is against the next generation of...
Yes, the anti-rocket based turret works against things like the Bunker Buster 5. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be affected by projectile speed and or accuracy specials. It might be, but I don't think it's intended to do that. But yes, they do shoot down some percentage of incoming bunker busters. I don't think the Badger weapon shoots over mountains, but I could be wrong.
It's a Gatling gun type thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it shouldn't.
And then they
shouldn't.
don't.
Wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
Work.
Okay. I mean, mortars fire over, missiles fire over.
And some radioactives do.
Well, well, the throwers go over on the PVE targets, right? Which I don't understand because the throwers are basically flamethrowers, right?
Mm.
But for some reason, at least historically, they go through.
No, they don't go over.
Well, in PVE
Not the
targets.
Gladius ones. I'm sure it was blocked. That little short range guy.
Oh, okay. How about launchers turrets over mountains?
The launchers do.
They go over. Throwers do not.
Okay. So, is there anything else we should be talking about at this point? I don't know. Should we be talking about Badger builds? Anybody interested in that or no?
Nobody? Well, it's a PvP thing. A lot of people don't.
Nah, it's just the old school people wouldn't talk about it. But as far as like,
well, it's like most of the stuff nowadays. There's not too many different buddy bits and pieces that you can really put on them, is there?
yeah, I mean, there's a lot. There's the Y. I mean, I'm curious as far as like,
We
do
can
I
do speed
want to put
rounds.
an engine on mine or not?
Well, you want to put an engine. The question is
Yes.
what type of engine.
Okay. What does that mean?
Well, you can put a sync drive because the
Okay,
thing has a
the
base
engine to
combat
keep
speed.
it still. The engine to keep it still. Yeah.
The thing has a base combat speed of 35, so it's going to move.
Mm-hmm.
But do you want it to actually move as fast as a normal hole or not? Or do you want it to stay stopped?
Yeah. Are you putting yours behind the gate?
I plan to put one behind the gate and one out in front.
Okay.
And the one that's out, you'd probably want it going as fast as possible, wouldn't you? So that it gets.
No, I'm going to have the one out in front stopped, so you can't lure it out.
But you can just. Are you only going to put it just in front of one of the gates? Are you?
I was going to plan to put one if you want to share my screen.
Okay.
I was going to put one right about where this first oil rig here is, so that it's constantly debuffing everything within a range of 100 when they're entering my channel and it's doing some damage, maybe right about here. And the second one will go where this guy is. It's just a blank.
Yep.
But and this one will chase you down if you get past these two gates, and out this one, it will keep coming after you.
Yep.
Yeah, because I was curious as far as, from my perspective, as far as like, if you keep it behind the gate, you don't put an engine on it. How much turn speed and whatnot to have it keep up, if you know what I mean?
Well, what's my exterminator speed?
Well, you'd need about 70 odd, I'd reckon.
Yeah, so you need to put an engine on there. Yeah, 67, 136. You should put an engine on there.
On both of them or just one of them?
Well, you either want them to move or you don't. You don't want them to half-ass move.
Well, if they half-ass move inside of these, channels.
They've
They're
already
not.
got a base.
They're
They've
not
already
going to
got a
move if you
base
just stick them in
combat
here.
speed, so they're going to move, albeit slowly, because their base combat speed's something like 30 to 40, isn't it?
It's 35.
So regardless, it's going to move. It's not going to sit there, is it?
Yeah, unless you use a sync drive, but
Yeah.
I don't think you want to put it. No, you don't want to just leave it nothing off there. Also, you can't compare the weapon on the Badger to the Executioner because they've got much different reload times and reload bonuses. And also, if they were exactly equal, 5 Exterminators in guard would beat 5 Exterminators attacking you because you have a bunch of turrets and tactical fields to deal with. So, if you got the general balance of PvP and how effective the defender is, not comparing a defender's gun to an attacker's gun.
Yeah, go to slide 20, Mike. Yeah, I mean, it's way underpowered relatively, but,
Why are you comparing those two things?
well, does the Badger weapon seem underpowered compared to the X?
Why are you comparing the two?
Because they're going to run head-to-head, right?
No, because one has an entire base supporting it.
Well, but they're still going to run head-to-head, right?
And an aura. So that aura will make the Badger do about... That Badger aura will make the Executioner do 50% less damage.
I'm not saying they're equal. I'm just saying that they're going to run head-to-head. That's why I compared them. I mean...
I don't really think so. But whatever.
You don't think they're going to run head-to-head?
No. 5 Exterminators versus 5 Badgers? 3 versus 3? Not really, no. And the armored points in the two holes are fairly different, aren't they? Or they're similar?
Did you put scout engines on it?
You wouldn't need the scout engine on it. You can get it up to 90 odd with just an onslaught. And maybe the evade special.
Okay.
Just trying to think of what the name of the bloody thing is.
You're using Hyper 30?
Yeah, Hyper 30. Yeah, so if you put a Hyper 30 on it, you can get it up to, plus an onslaught, you can get it up around the 90 odd, which is fast enough to catch anything, I would have thought.
Yeah. And because it's got that special where it goes to within 10 of the
Yeah, so they're not gonna kite it.
no.
Yes, but the attacker gets cruise, stack fleets, control of movement. But again, when I put this up, whatever. The reason I put this up was just to display the difference between the two of them. I don't think they should be equal. That wasn't my point. But yeah, the attacker does get differences, bonuses. But I was just surprised by how large that was between the damage and the reload. It's PvE is a very difficult thing to balance.
You mean PvP?
Yeah, PvP is very difficult to balance to keep everybody happy. So it's no longer the grinding Gatling gun; it's the grinder. So, all right. Is there anything else we should be discussing? I mean, I did ask about builds, but yeah.
Well, do you want me, I can go over mine. I did earlier today. Record some narration for it, but I'm happy to share quickly my thoughts on the build.
Okay.
Let me zoom in for a minute here, and then go back to full screen. Where are you? Like we talked a little bit about, the Badger does have a few special abilities. The first one is getting in range of 10. It always gets in range of 10. This thing does 0 damage. It's just used to get close to you. That's why it says used for targeting only. The second ability is its duplicate aura cap of 1, affects all ships hostile within a range of 100, which is medium range-ish. And it reduces the Exterminator's damage by roughly 50% against buildings. And actually, let me go ahead and do that math. Yeah, 51% against buildings. It does less damage, Exterminators do when they're in this range, and 35% less damage against ships. In terms of the weapons, there's really just one choice for that, and that's the Gatling gun we just got, the Grinder Gatling gun. And, I mean, it starts out doing some damage, and of course there's already a 50% concussive damage buff on the whole, so yeah, there's really just one choice for this. I don't think anyone should be using anything else like polonium throwers or whatnot. In terms of armor, you can go for whatever your favorite defender plate is. Against Exterminators, you probably want to use concussive and maybe corrosive. If you think that 20k deflection will help out against something doing 1 million damage. Or you can use the D5 EV armor, or you can use the anti-stun armor. I don't really have a strong preference. I'll probably go with something like this for now, but that will end up changing. For the engine, I think you should use one. If you don't want to, that's fine. But Onslaught engine's the obvious choice. Adds evade, not that that's especially helpful because the Exterminator does all splash damage. Or you can use a sync drive to keep it stopped. I think KB said you were thinking Hyper 30 to make it even faster and actually catch up to people. Because 75, it will about match the combat speed of the Exterminator. So you could use Hyper 30 for that last slot. Or you could use Agility 4. And that will come with stun resist as well. I tend to favor this one a little. Actually, yeah, I guess I do tend to favor stun resist a bit, but if you want something fast, go for Hyper 30. I actually hadn't thought about that. Then the other 3 slots are going to be buffing the damage of this guy. It's a dumbfire weapon, and it does concussive damage, depth charge. So you want it to actually land on people rather than miss. I think for that reason, projectile speed will be quite important, as well as some splash to actually do full damage with Desolation Warheads. That's really the only kind of tricky special on here. Then the rest, you can go with reload, you can go with concussive damage. Both of those are in zip drive Y here. I like the damage as compared to zip drive X.
That gives you speed as well, so you might be able to take the Hyper 30 off. I know you haven't put it on there, but
yeah, because now we're 81 compared to about 70, so maybe that's good enough. And apparently I double-clicked somewhere. This last special, I'm going to say PBX payload for criticals. Now you have a 32% chance combining the R&D at doing a 2x damage. That's my thoughts, quick and dirty.
Okay.
We can go into more detail if we have more time, or I felt like it, but or you can go all evade, all speed, and try and get it to survive as long as possible for this aura to actually work. But
well, evade is probably not going to help because the Abolisher Gatling gun on the exterminator got splash anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not a big splash, I know. It's only 6,
Yeah.
I think. But then when people put the Desolation Warheads on, that gives you 175%. So,
yeah. Yeah, if I look at the damage of these two holes side by side, the Exterminator certainly does more. And of course, it does have building damage buffs and stuff like that, but yeah. I'm just building, I built one blank, I'm building the second blank. That's just what I was thinking.
Oh, good. All right, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see. I guess we'll see you all next Wednesday. And thanks for showing up. And thanks for showing up. And we'll see you then, right?
Will do.
Okay. Later, people. Thanks for showing up.
See you later.
See you everyone.
Fighters.